Hello, hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sick of This show as we all start rolling in. It is going to be a fun episode today. I have my good friend, Coach Cap Jacob, from the Better Human Project here with me, as we're welcoming on the Opinionated Ogre for a discussion around the rider of pestilence and the death cult that is bringing upon us a plague of stupidity and idiocracy. And I couldn't think of two better people to bring on than these two fine individuals who have some strong opinions about RFK. So, good morning, Jacob, and good morning, Ogre. Ogre, do you mind introducing yourself to everyone as I start pulling up some lives and getting everybody welcomed in the chats?
Sure. I'm the Opinionated Ogre. I've been writing about politics for 15 years. I have a 17-year-old autistic son, and I despise anti vaxxers and RFK Jr. with the power of 1,000 exploding stars.
I like it. Thousand explode. That's a
I
pretty
am.
specific number. Um, and I may ask you why 1,000. You could be like Dr. Evil over here and be like 1 billion exploding stars. Just
I'll take Doctor Evil over Doctor Oz
Yeah,
any
seriously.
day. So
Like
you mean like
seriously, I wish terrible things on him that like I just don't. I mean, I'm writing an article about how much I hate him. This is like my fourth or fifth article this year. So yeah, and it'll probably be another 4 or 5 just this year. I fucking hate him that much.
good, good, because I think we all fucking do. I got kids and I hate these pieces of shit because they're gonna make my kids sick. And I have ADHD and I know people who have autism. And what the fuck? Like, one, we're going to do this up front. Autism is not caused by Tylenol or acetaminophen. Autism is a genetic thing. It is a condition that cannot be cured because it's not a fucking illness.
It's
It's
not a fucking
part of your
disease.
personhood. It's a personhood trait. It's like I have ADHD because my brain has ADHD wiring in it, and I have executive functioning disorder, and you wouldn't call me a fucking otherized, subhuman, whatever nonsense. But here
well,
we are.
you know what the leading cause of autism is, correct?
What?
It's not Tylenol. It's not vaccines. It's that autistic people also like to have
Oh
sex.
shit. Are you what? Wait, I thought they were not contributing members of society. I thought the only thing that you were good for as a person in our society was your labor and contributing taxes.
The A in autistic does not stand for asexual. It does, in fact, stand for all of the sex. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Oh God, I love that. I'm gonna start using that. A is for all of the sex.
Yes,
Uh,
all of the
all of the
sex.
sex, all
It,
of
it,
the
mean-
time.
it, me- it means we're really focused, detailed, laser brained about it. So I'm
You're
just
on a
saying.
mission. You be
Now,
fucking and you know what you're
I the
doing.
that is the part that bothers me is as people I have multiple friends who are autistic, and as we know, it's not a left and right spectrum. It's more like a scatter chart with two axes. But obviously, I mean, I know people who are full-blown Asperger's, everything like that present a little bit more obviously than others. And I myself have been diagnosed with what I would call a minor, not that there's really a minor form of autism, but with pathological demand avoidance. I get laser focused on something, and if I can laser focus on something to the abandonment of everything else, I do. And what offends me is that people treat this as though this is a disease that you could give through Tylenol, that you could give through vaccines. They just greenlit a research study last week to try and once again link vaccines to autism. And I've got a member of my gym who is a biology professor who every single time he hears this, I think his soul dies just a little. So
I mean, they've already done, I don't even know how many studies they've done. It's dozens, if not hundreds, and not
many.
one reputable study has found a link. Not even, just
Yeah.
no links whatsoever. So they've done some really big ones too, with hundreds of thousands of kids, and there's no fucking link. And they keep saying it over and over and over because they really just want it to be true. Not because they actually believe that it's true, but because they hate fucking vaccines. So they just need it to be true. So they can just they just have an excuse not to vaccinate their fucking kids. And the thing that really bugs me about that is now, and I've written about this, God knows how many times at this point, is that the thing that offends me about this, and this is why I look at anti-vaxxers and I despise them, because they look at my son, right? Jordan is not a high functioning, and I know that's not like, the term, an acceptable term, but he's not a high functioning autistic kid, right? He's not going to be able to take care of himself as an adult. He's gonna have to be in a caretaker situation for the rest of his life. And this is the thing that provides me with no end of stress, right? It's a constant source of nightmare for me because, we're not going to be here, me and my wife, for the rest of his life. By the time he's in his 40s, we're going to be either dead or, too old to take care of him. And he's still got another 30 plus years left of his life. That's a lot of fucking stress to live with. But they look at my son and they think either they say it out loud or they say it in their heart of hearts that they would rather have their kid die or be crippled from polio or measles or any of a dozen different childhood diseases than be like my son. It's like you would rather have your kid in the fucking ground or living in an iron lung than be like my son. And my Jordan is adorable. He's a big 6'1" teddy bear. Wouldn't hurt a fucking fly. And they just look at him and they're so repulsed by just the idea of what he is that they would rather have their child dead or crippled. And that really fucking offends me.
Yeah, like as a parent, like I've got two kids. As a fucking parent, I would never wish my children dead. Ever. Like I want my kids to outlive me by years and years and years and years. Why the fuck would I want them to die? There is like, oh my God, the fake risk of autism from vaccines. Shut the fuck up, people.
And why
Like
would you
we
risk it?
why would you even risk it? Like it's the whole thing with like COVID, like why people aren't taking the COVID vaccine. It's the same fucking thing. It's the excuse of, oh well, I could get this one side effect. My risk is now increased of this one side effect. Yeah, your risk is increased of that one side effect, but it's also severely decreased because if you got COVID, you get that disease and then you'd fucking die. Instead of just getting a little sick, you would fucking die. So stop wishing death on me. Stop wishing death on my kids. Stop wishing death on my friends. Like, stop wishing death on my wife, my parents. Like, fuck off, people. Like, that's the thing, is it's so violent what they're doing. All the language they use towards us is so violent. It's just like it's all othering and dehumanizing, and it's all for a purpose. And it's all to make us feel apathetic and then be willing to let our kids die or let ourselves be miserable and suffer and pieces of garbage and yada yada yada. But I think that's fucking horseshit. Um, and I think, and it's we're now taking away the choice for people who want their kids vaccinated or
Right,
want
because
their
it's
kids
not enough.
supported.
It's not enough for them to make the choice, right? Because for a Republican, free choice means the choice for me to make the choice for you.
Correct.
That's what they always
Yeah.
mean. It's
Yep.
never, whenever they say parents' choice, they inevitably get to the point where it's like, well, now I'm making that choice for you and taking it away because I don't believe you should be doing this.
Correct.
Fuck you.
Yep.
And if you're willing to be anti-vax, so anti-vax that, because it is a choice, it's a choice to be an anti-vaxxer, you should also be criminally prosecuted if your child dies from a preventable disease that was vaccinatable and they could have gotten it. If your child could not have gotten the vaccine, that's one thing. Like, there are reasons why some people don't get vaccines, but
Like,
that's
legitimate ones, real
like
ones.
legitimate, but that's such a small minority of the group. Reason the rest of us get the vaccines, it's that herd mentality thing, that, Christian mentality of care for thy neighbor and love thy neighbor and protect the sick and the weak and the poor and uplift those. Where the fuck are your Christian values, folks? Like, what's up there? Why are we so anti-Christian? Like, we're so anti-life here. You guys aren't pro-life. We're pro-life. Fuck off. I'm pro-life. I want my kids to live. I want Ogre's kid to live. I want Ogre's son to have a happy and successful life just for being a person. Like, his personhood is not defined on how much labor he can produce, or is he useful to society. His personhood is defined because he's alive and he's a person. That makes me pro-life. So I'm taking back that word. What do you think, Ogre?
No, absolutely. And that's just not good enough for them, right? Like, if you're not actively producing wealth for rich people, then they don't see you as worthy of living.
One of the
Which is disturbing. I'm sorry, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
No, I was just going to say that's one of my biggest rants that I go on most of our shows, especially whenever we talk about anything to do with RFK or health, is that what used to seem like a tinfoil conspiracy theory is my number one running, not even theory, it's fucking true these days, is that any single thing that you look at in the news, health related these days, whether it's reproductive rights, vaccination, does Tylenol cause autism, you can, like, they used to at least pretend to hide that it wasn't about, that it was about, your ability to continue to produce labor, to be a contributing member to the workforce. But Musk and Trump came out and fucking said it during the Doge cuts, that essentially that if you were no longer able to work, you were no longer valuable to society, that they didn't believe in 40-hour work weeks. They believed in more, that you shouldn't find a work-life balance. That's false. You should be, and they try to justify it with some pseudo mental health science of, you need to be all in at all times. Your brain will turn off when it needs to. Basically, work until we don't need you to work. And you could stay on the clock as many hours as you need to because it's making us money. If you look at anything in the health news, health politics right now, it all ties back to that. We want to remove reproductive rights because we want you to be able to crank out babies. And the moment you can't crank out babies anymore, you're no longer able to at least provide chattel to the churning workforce. If you can't work anymore, you're no longer chattel for the workforce. If you're basically, if we can prove that you have some type of mental disability, disorder, your brain doesn't work the way that we need it to for the jobs that we're doing, then you're no longer valuable. Unless you happen to be a billionaire and possibly the world's first trillionaire, then it's okay to have autism. And because that means that you have the brain set to be able to make trillions and you can get away with doing Sieg Heils on stage. So
No, you mean Roman salutes. I mean, like they know the difference apparently. Because what's the difference between a Roman salute and a Nazi salute? Nazi.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I know this one. Wait. The Roman salute won't get you shot on stage?
I do not see a difference between the Roman salute and that one.
Well, and what's funny is from a history buff perspective, not even the fucking Romans did the Roman salute with the prevalence that they claimed that it was. That was something that the Nazis took and ran with, the same way that they took and ran with Norse mythology and culture and appropriated a whole bunch of stuff to make that mean something else. Because if all of Nazi history is the same as all of MAGA history right now, which is they picked and chose the favorite parts that they wanted to use for their favorite greetings and handshakes and dog whistles, and essentially wrote fan fiction for the most oppressive parts of the cultures that they admired. So
You know, it's weird. The weird part about that they don't seem to celebrate of European history is the part where we crushed the Nazis. Do you think
Yeah,
that
they
would be,
leave that one out.
they skip that part? Or my favorite part of American history is where we crushed the Confederacy. They seem to skip that part too. I don't know. They don't seem to celebrate that. That was like a glorious win in American history. But
Yeah,
I don't know. You think they'd be more happy about that?
It's
But they're
almost
really
like
not.
that's been the subject of every one of our favorite movies and genres since the 1940s. I mean, I grew up with Indiana Jones and Captain America telling me that I was supposed to punch Nazis in the face, and we celebrated it. I just rewatched Inglorious Bastards the other day. I seem to remember a time when we cheered on the defeat of Nazis instead of pretending that the Holocaust didn't happen, and now pretending as though not everything the Nazis did was bad. Okay, you frick. What's the term for always bringing up Hitler? We need the opposite of it. We need the one where we always justify what Hitler did. So,
yeah, they watch those movies and they're like, oh, here's a good example of how to be the shittiest person in the world. I'm gonna top it. Like,
they, they
how can I be worse?
they
Like the
saw a
biggest
play,
race to the biggest loser.
they saw a playbook, not a cautionary tale. Huh? So
I mean, these
Yeah,
people literally watch Star Wars and identify with the Empire, which is
yeah,
like, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you stupid? Are you,
yeah,
they're literally the bad guys.
yeah. And like, are we saying now, because you just brought it up, Jake, are we saying now that Indiana Jones is a terrorist?
he is,
Does
and
that make does that make Harrison Ford a terrorist?
he is Antifa. He is in fact Antifa. So I'm just saying, and I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this again because I almost took this down off my YouTube because I was like, God damn it, this one's gonna get me in trouble. But I'll just say it again, I'll double down. If Antifa is anti-fascist, which is what the name means, then I will proudly stand with our grandfathers and great grandfathers and say that I am too Antifa because I am very much anti-fascist. So
Yeah, like my whole family's legacy is military in this country. Like we my family has been serving in the military since they got here. And
same.
since they could.
Um, my mother's side goes
And
all the way back. Yep. Mm.
yeah,
Not me.
both my
Sorry.
dad and it's just my mom and my dad, both their sides, both my brothers were in, my wife, my cousins, my sisters-in-laws, whole fucking family is all in. You're spitting on my fucking work, assholes. Like I went to war and I saw what fascism can look like and authoritarianism can look like, and I trained to stop it. And now you're spitting on all of us, and Brian Kilmeade's on air calling for murdering veterans because they're homeless, because there's more than one veteran who's homeless. There's more than zero, which means there's at least one veteran who would be murdered if we did this eugenics practice of just, wiping out all of the homeless population. So, on eugenics, talking about eugenics, because we have the writer of Pestilence as our Secretary of Health and Human Sacrifices. Um, Ogre, what
Thank
is
you.
your
Thank you for
you're welcome, Jacob.
reusing my
You're
title.
welcome.
I appreciate that.
Um, Ogre, what is your opinion on RFK's eugenics or eugenicist language around autism, the use of things like Tylenol, just and vaccines in general? What are your thoughts on on the writer of Pestilence?
I mean, it explains why the regime put him in charge, right? And that was a thing. I would like early on. It was like, why are they using him? Like, why are they promoting him so hard? Why are they sticking by him so hard? And when he made it super clear that he's a literal eugenicist, right? He literally believes in eugenics. The weak have to be put down. The weak have to be, put out the pasture. And only the strong will survive, even though he doesn't quite put it that way. And I was like, oh, he believed, like, they're fucking Nazis. Like, even if he doesn't think he's a Nazi, he's doing the Nazi fucking work. And I know, oh, don't call them Nazis. Fuck them. They're fucking Nazis. They're literal Nazis. And they want to purge the country of the people they think are not healthy and worthy and don't deserve to survive. And that applies to people who they consider, handicapped and sick. And what better way to get rid of them than to get rid of vaccines and health coverage and start demonizing people who have autism? Because once you start saying autism is caused by this, that, and the other, and that they're not productive members of society. Once you start rolling that back and you start othering them, then you can start demonizing them. All it's going to take is one autistic person, because they're going to start doing this. If the regime is still around in a few years, they're going to start pointing at autistic people and saying, they're kind of dangerous. Maybe we shouldn't have them in our schools. And that is the thing. When Kennedy was talking about how he didn't know any autistic kids when he was in school, it's like, yes, because they didn't allow them in school. Like kids like Jordan were not allowed in school when we were kids. When I was a kid, there were none. They put them in fucking rubber rooms. They put them in separate facilities where they did not get an education. They just warehoused them for years. It was like, yeah, no, they weren't taught anything. They were just warehoused. They were just put on the side and kept from doing anything. And they didn't give a shit what they did. They just kept them in a locked room with padded walls, unlike an asylum, and just ignored them. And then, parents like, hey, maybe don't fucking do that. Our kids deserve to have a fucking education, whatever form it may take. Jordan's not going to be learning, higher mathematics, but he deserves an education. He deserves something. So that's what he's getting. And they would take that away from him in a fucking heartbeat.
Yeah.
And put him back in a fucking rubber room.
Yeah. And he deserves an education because everyone deserves an education, because all people deserve an education. Like that's the thing. Like we talked to the Centered America guys, or I did yesterday. They're really good guys. And Ogre, you'd like them. They're talking about a lot of these issues too. And one of the things that they said really, really blatantly and very affirmatively, and I'm going to repeat it in my words, is trans people are people, autistic people are people. People deserve rights. People deserve value. People are people. Like,
Except
let's
Nazis.
stop fucking boxing people in and saying, oh, they don't deserve something because they're slightly different than me. Okay. Are they hurting you? Are they actively attacking you and like physically assaulting you and shooting you or killing you or doing the things that right-wing terrorists are doing? No, shut the fuck up. Autistic people aren't the problem because autistic people are just trying to live. Like, I just want autistic people to just be able to live because I can just live. Like, nobody comes around assaulting me or asking me, oh, what's it like to be in a marriage? What is it like to be ADHD all the time? What's it like to be blah, 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 blah? People don't ask me that fucking question. Why do I have to go around having to other these other people? Like, the fuck off, RFK. And I hate it because not only are they re-demonizing them, and you're right, the next step is take them out of schools, institutionalize them, put them in camps, disappear them. Don't let them be human anymore because they're just not productive in this fake meritocracy that we have that doesn't actually exist because none of the people that are at the top of this fake meritocracy deserve any of it. They've just bought their way in because they're wealthy brats who have money or have family names, RFK Jr.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you're grifting on Kennedy.
He's not a nepo baby at all. He
No.
definitely earned everything he's ever gotten in life.
Well, and the
Oh,
other thing I was going to say is that I think it's 100% right that basically what you're saying, if they can other these people, they can demonize these people. If they can demonize these people, they can strip them of basic rights and liberties and freedoms and securities. But also, that assumes that their big nefarious plan, and I'm not pretending it doesn't exist, it's absolutely there, acknowledging that, but they've got that as their primary plan, and as their alternate plan, it's simply to sow chaos, because if we can sow chaos, we can have people in disarray, and if we have people in disarray, then people don't know who to trust. They are literally dismantling those who are health authorities in our current political and national climate, so that people don't know where to turn, so that when they're lost and confused and tired and they're finally like, what the fuck do I even do, they can set themselves up as an authority, whether it's real or perceived, as the one to turn to. There's an entire series of
I alone can save you.
Yeah, exactly. I alone can save you. And I ranted about this in one of my RFK posts. We're going to have to start sharing RFK posts. But that was basically the whole point with it, is that he didn't put, brainworm Bob in office or in the position that he's in because Captain Croak's good at what he does. He did it because the administration can fill in the gaps. The cabinet can fill in the gaps, can help carry on Project 2025. They put him in position because if we're confused and lost and distracted and stressed and tired because we're working 40 to 80 hours a week to barely pay our bills, and we can go to the doctor and not know that we're going to have coverage, or that the doctor is going to know what the fuck they're talking about, thank you, modern healthcare education system, then we're going to turn to at least the smallest, to the closest reputable source. So they want to be that functional, dilapidated lighthouse in the storm that can rake in the money and not put the money towards repairs for the lighthouse and move on. Sorry if my analogies are mixed. There's about 6 thoughts I'm trying to there.
Or, they could do the thing where they demonize Tylenol or acetaminophen in general because Doc Oz owns a competing product that is not well known and not really well tested, and is set to make a lot of money when there's a lot of chaos and people want to go to non-standard, non-medical professionals giving them advice. Doc Oz is set to make a shitload of money off of this. And another thing that people need to remember on all of this too is Tylenol and Bayer, or whatever, Johnson and Johnson, whatever company owns Tylenol, they're going to sue the fuck out of the government, which means our tax dollars are going to go into the pharmaceutical company anyway, and they're just going to get richer. The pharmaceutical companies and the plutocrats and these fucking robber barons are going to just get richer off of our tax dollars. So it's another level of scheme too. Like, not only are they demonizing Tylenol, but then Tylenol and that company are going to get money from us as a result of it, not from Trump, not from RFK, not from the idiots that are pushing the policy, but from our tax dollars. And that needs to change too. Like, they can't just fucking, Epstein-Aminofen. Release the Epstein-Aminofen files. Well, I mean, they got the votes, but they're pushing that off too. Like, they're all cowards and weaklings. But anyway, going back to the Pestilence of Doom, and the rider of Pestilence, what do you think about the golden calf that got set up? Literal golden statue of Donald Trump with a Bitcoin in his hand that got set up on the National Mall, which our friend Melissa Corrigan broke the story of. If you're not following her, you absolutely should go subscribe to Melissa Corrigan. She's fucking awesome.
Following her, and I watched that live when it was happening. So,
and she broke it on Gen Xe with Dana Dubois and Lawrence Winterman. And I was watching that live too. And then they're engineering by destroying the systems, taking out the professionals, removing the FDA controls, removing the reporting of it. And they're engineering a plague. Do you think they're trying to engineer prophecy here? That's my theory, is they're engineering the biblical prophecies.
I think they're just trying to speed it along, and they don't realize they can't speed it along. But if they're going to set up an RFK statue, it's got to be beside a pond so that we can hear constant croaking. So,
like, I can't even do his voice because it hurts.
It sounds like a T-Pain level of a vocalizer, like auto-tuner. Like, you just walk up the statue and press a button and you can speak through it and it makes it sound like him. So
the statue was was really impressive. It was like, man, just straight up golden calf idol, just worshiping an idol. You guys are just embarrassing. Like, I honestly was not sure if it was a gag or not, because like it was so beyond parody. It's like you can't even do satire at that level at this point. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? But no, they're just, no, we worship a golden statue of the least religious man. I mean, I'm an atheist and I'm more religious than fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah, like I reread that part of the Bible just to make sure. Like I went online and I read different versions of it too, because if you go online, you can all for people who don't know, you can actually find different versions of the Bible that are online, so you can compare what these idiots are reading compared to other versions, because none of them are the same, because they were translated by people who had a agenda behind what they were translating and how they were writing the words down, because that's how it works. Is when we write things down, we put our own biases into them, subconsciously or consciously. And the Bible is a great example of that. They picked and chose stories and they added them in, and then they translated them by people to do things. But I reread that passage and it calls for a plague right after. Like Moses came down from the mountain and God was pissed and was like, separate these fuckers who worship this idol. And it was serious. These were people from like the Bitcoin and like crypto community. They're part of a like the group itself is a scam group. They're made for pump and dump schemes. Like that's what it's for, is literally like promoting pump and dump. And
Okay,
so
so go ahead.
they have
I'll wait.
all of this and engineering a plague behind it. Like the guy who eats fucking bears from Central Park, picks them up off the side of the street, is engineering a fucking plague. Like
So
I can't be. I
you
prove
had me
wrong.
curious. You had me curious because I had to go remind myself of not the 7 plagues from Egypt, but the 7 plagues in Revelation, since we're on a rapture kick this week. And they kind of closely fit. So just bear with me. I don't know that I'll be able to find one for everyone, but I found one for at least 4 or 5.
Oh no,
so
Ogre's
far.
been raptured.
So Ogre's been raptured. Ogre's been raptured.
Wait,
I
hold
did
on.
message one
Before
of
you
my
go any further, Ogre, you didn't lose your clothes. Like, or are you already naked? Because you only get raptured naked.
There we go.
Oh, there he goes.
So I'll go into the plagues. I will say I did message my good friend Eric on Tuesday and basically say, hey, look, if I don't get raptured and you do, I claim your Power Rangers, D&D, and Captain America memorabilia. And he was like, heard, I've even got an oversized annual. You can have it. So the first plague, grievous, painful sores erupt on people who worship the beast and bear his mark. The MAGA hat.
Or the big old like
the
sword that's on the side of Donald Trump's hand that he's trying to hide. The
See,
mark of the beast will appear as a sore.
It's starting.
Right?
Or the painful sores being the fucking maxi pads they wore on their ears. The sea turns to blood and every living creature in the sea dies. Our unauthorized shooting of boats right now. The rivers and springs of water turn to blood. Not sure about that one, but maybe it's about them trying to get fluoride out of the water. The sun scorches.
Alligator Alcatraz and disappearing people in those thermal hotspots that are showing up out of there.
You do know algae blooms are usually red, right?
The sun scorches people with its intensified heat, while denying global warming. The kingdom of the beast is plunged into darkness, causing people to gnaw their tongues in pain and curse God. I think this is us cursing God that Trump's here.
Well, also we're having increased blackouts from all of the whatchamacallit, the freaking AI centers sucking up all the electricity.
Yeah, the power grid drainings from the
which is going to pollute the rivers and turn them red and disgusting, and people will die and they'll light on fire and things like that, because that's what happens when you pollute rivers with toxins, is they light on fire eventually.
The great river Euphrates is dried up. Not sure about that one. Y'all can sound in on that one. And then the last one is the last plague is poured into the air. The world experiences massive earthquakes, cities crumble, islands disappear, yada, yada, yada. I mean, that could also go to the AI thing of the power plants they're fucking creating all over the goddamn country to be able to power AI.
And fracking earthquakes,
I don't know.
Don't forget about those.
Yeah,
Oh, it's been a
God.
while since we've
Yeah.
heard about fracking earthquakes. Like, what happened to all those people that were against fracking? Like, did y'all just stop being against fracking? Like, what's up now?
See, I hear fracking. I think Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, anyway,
We're
Frack
going to
off.
have to talk about the issue. That's one of my favorite shows. It's also a great parable for what's
I've got to
going
go.
on in our society right now. Like, especially the new one. They did the newish. I mean, it's not new anymore. It's like
I know
15 years
it's been like
old.
15 years.
Jesus.
I was to say we say new because that was like that came out when we were in college in our 20s, and now it's not
Oh, that's
new
so
anymore. We have to remind people.
cute, you little fetuses.
Look, Ogre, just because I wasn't born during the last age of man doesn't mean I'm a
I watched the
youngin.
original
So
one when it was on TV. You guys are so cute.
You had TVs back then?
so
I thought, did you
is
have
there
to
a
like pedal the wheel to keep the
is there a
TV on?
diaper in that sock?
That was on one of the
Or
5 different television stations that existed back then.
Holy shit, you got
was it in
5? I only
color or
got
black and
3
white?
growing up. I got 3 fucking stations. And I'm younger than you. That's some horse shit. Vermont, you guys were
Ogre's
so
like
backwards.
Ogre's like I remember when Doctor Who was in black and white.
Oh my
I
god, we had to go
remember
up.
turning the antenna on the roof and having
Literally,
to
no,
hear the
literally.
storm.
My
We went up
doctor
on
is William
when HBO first came
Hartnell.
out. We had a bootleg antenna that we had to point at the Empire State Building to pirate it in
We
Brooklyn.
got when I lived in Vermont growing up, so when we didn't really get a lot of things, like we were way behind on, like we our joke was Vermont is 5 years behind any trend growing up. Like we would get things and it was 5 years out of style, but we didn't care. But we would have to change the antenna a little bit so that during the Olympics we would get NBC. That was like that they boosted the signal enough that during the Olympics and during the World Cup we would get extra channels. And I felt special for having
I'm just sitting
5
here
channels at the time. Like we had ABC,
I'm just sitting
CBS,
here
and
jealous as
PBS.
somebody who lives in Alabama. You were 5 years behind the curve. We were definitely further behind than that.
I don't think Alabama's on the curve.
I mean,
I
I heard
think
they
you
just
guys
got.
abandoned that a
I heard they
while
just
ago.
got running indoor plumbing in Alabama like this last decade. So yay, Alabama!
Roll
I
Tide.
mean, there are places in
Roll
Vermont that
Tide.
didn't have running indoor plumbing or electricity until a couple years ago, too. So, yeah. We also joke growing up that there were more sheep than people in the state because that was a statistic that was true. Um, so we were odd. Vermont's a fun state. I love my state. I love my original state. I'm not there anymore. Um, but it's yeah, it's interesting to see all the regressions that we're going through. And like Florida is now their their Secretary of Health and Human Sacrifices there is lifting vaccine requirements in any way,
Oh my
which
god,
means
oh, it's killing me. My donor son lives there, and it makes me very very sad that he lives there.
and like because one of the things that means and people aren't really talking about is when those requirements are lifted the vaccines and the medications will be less available just in general because stores aren't required to carry them, so they're not going to. They're just going to
Right.
be like, well, nobody wants to buy them here, or less people are going to buy them here, so we're not going to carry them as often. Do you think there's going to be what are your thoughts on that, Ogre? On how do you think this is going to actually impact like Florida's health, and what do you think that might mean for the U.S. as a larger
Well,
um,
I know the health companies recently put out a statement saying, yeah, fuck RFK Jr. We're still going to be offering vaccines at no cost because, on some level, while vaccines cost money, they know sick people cost more money. So I believe they're going to want to keep providing the vaccines for as long as they can because sick kids, because anyone who has health insurance, their kid will be on that health insurance, right? And until they can figure out a way to separate children from their parents' health insurance, which is I'm sure they're trying to figure out how to do that, they have to cover those kids. And sick kids cost a lot of money. So they don't want these kids getting sick and ending up in the hospital because they're going to have to pay for that. So
yeah.
it's in the best interest of health insurance companies to keep getting these kids vaccinated. And it's got to be, they have to have done the math. They have to have done it. And they have to look back and say, when kids were getting polio, that cost a lot of fucking money. Maybe we should keep making sure these kids get the fucking polio vaccine.
Yeah.
Maybe we should not pull it from the fucking shelves, because sure, we'll save some money now, but fuck, we're going to be paying it out the nose later, no matter what the fuck RFK Jr. says. So
RFK knows about pouring things out the nose.
The next step is going to be for when in a year or two, if the vaccination rates haven't dropped enough, the next step will be for them to start trying to physically ban insurance companies from offering it. That'll be the next thing. It won't be enough for them to say, well, you don't have to have it, because like we said, it's not enough for them to give parents the choice to not do it. They will just take the choice away and just ban insurance companies. They'll say, under the ACA, it's no longer allowed to offer vaccines because they can't keep allowing it. That's the point. The point is to not is to just stop vaccines. That's the goal here.
Yeah. It's like that's the thing I don't get in all of this, is it's so self-destructive to their own interests. Like, these people are capitalists.
That depends what your interests are. If your interest is winnowing out the fucking population, this is very much in your interest.
You're right. They did give us a population number on like how many people they think the US is supposed to be able to hold, and I think we're almost like triple that number that they said.
Like 100 million.
And
Wait,
so
did you say it was Curtis Yarvin?
Yes, Curtis Yarvin was the one who put that out. He's a fucking nihilist. He's also one of the guys who is, for anybody who doesn't know in the audience, he's one of the folks who's very close with Peter Thiel. He's part of the PayPal mafia style folk, Elon Musk, the Nepo nihilists who don't think we deserve to do anything other than work for them and ensure that they can live forever, but not us. They just want to live forever. Peter Thiel actually thinking on the health side, and how it sort of fits in with something that was coming out of, I think, Olga Lautman. Maybe reported on it, was talking about how Putin wants to live forever. And oh no, it wasn't Olga, it was the stream, but it might have been. Putin wants to live forever. Putin wants to do that through like organ transplant and harvesting and changing like his insides to be through younger people, and that like blood of the youth vampire sort of thing. That is Peter Thiel's idea of life too. These are the people who groomed JD Vance and are the ones who are controlling our vice president and who have the interest behind and who got access to all our fucking health information. Like,
well, you're familiar with the entire test creel movement, right?
No.
Oh no, that's an entire different conversation that would take an entire hour to do. We're not getting
let's do that another time.
Yeah, we're not getting to test creel here. We literally do not have another hour, but it is absolutely fucking insane, and it's the Silicon Valley religion, and we will have that conversation another time, but not. Actually, I will send you the link to the article I wrote about it, and I will point you at the people who've been writing about it. It is absolutely bonkers, fucking insane, and you're not going to thank me for letting you know about it. You're going to.
I would also appreciate that link and resources if you want.
Yeah, you're not gonna sleep better knowing about it, because as soon as when I started reading into it, I was like, this is not something I wanted to know about. It's so much fucking worse now that I know about it. So I'm sorry that I'm going to tell you about it. So
no,
yeah.
Okay. So does this link in at all, without getting into too much of the weeds of it? Does this link into some of the wearables that they're and like the push for like full body monitoring and like where like health tech in your clothes and reporting like that data and collecting that data all the time? Does this fit into some of that in their religion?
Partially, yes.
Okay.
Their whole, AI thing and fucking transhumanism, it's bad. It's so much fun. Like whatever, think your worst case scenario and then make it worse than that. It's so fucking bad.
So if we were to take a cult from Red Dead Redemption and fuse it with Cyberpunk 2077, then that's
Oh
what
my
you're
god,
talking
it's
about.
yeah, it's the worst. It's like every dystopian sci-fi movie, they watched it and said, "Yes."
That's
Wow.
what a fucking awful time. Like who put us on this track in the multiverse? And it was Harambe. It was Harambe. Whoever when they killed Harambe, that's what fucking that.
No, it was the squirrel. It was the squirrel that made its way into the Hadron Collider.
Well, that could be it too. Or it's all those fucking gray albino squirrels that live in Oberlin, Ohio, that scare the shit out of everybody who goes there. If you don't know about this, go check out Oberlin, Ohio. They have creepy ass albino like gray squirrels, and they're true albinos, but it's a whole like population, and they're evil looking. They're like mean too. So I'm blaming it on them. They somehow got out and like ate half of RFK's brain, birthed Stephen Miller as the brainworm penis, pulling itself out, unhooding itself, and just wriggling its way through into our lives. Couldn't finish the fucking job. So here's and I think people forget to. One of the things I hate about RFK so much, and just the Kennedys, people forget to mention this part about the Kennedys, is they lobotomized one of their kids. They
Yeah, back in the day when
lobotomized
they were
a
still
family
doing that.
member because they were potentially autistic. They lobotomized a little girl and fucked her life up, basically made her brain dead. So the Kennedys, especially RFK, who believes that would have been a good idea, like he is the type of person that would think lobotomizing autistic people is a good idea, or lobotomizing ADHD people is a good idea. He's the type of person that would bring lobotomies back. So RFK,
So
fuck you. You get my two finger salute today with these guys just. Oh yeah, ogre's sticking the finger out and it's out of the throat. Just deep throat that finger,
yeah.
RFK, and finish the job.
So question really quick for you, Ogre, because I imagine it's hard for you to type right now. We do have viewers who are watching that wanted me to type or wanted us to type out the cult you're referring to. What's the name of it?
TES real. Tescriel. TES real. It's just one word, Tescriel. It's an anagram.
Okay.
It's a fucking nightmare. Like Curtis Yarvin is their Ayn Rand or Ayn Rand, except with sci-fi. That's it, that's all he is, but he's with a C. Tess.
Oh,
Yeah.
Tescriel.
TESC.
Okay.
Yeah. Tess. TESC real. Tescriel.
Yeah, because that's what popped up when I went to Google it too.
Now,
Yeah,
one
put it
thing.
back in the chat
Oh.
too.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention
Yeah.
before we wrap this up. I'm assuming we're wrapping this up at 11.
Yeah, we're
or
gonna
12.
wrap up here in a minute. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to wrap up about this whole thing with RFK Jr. and the treatment for autism. And I talked about this yesterday with Florida Woman on our podcast. Is that people are going to look at this? It's some I forgot what it's called, but it's a folic acid and the blah blah blah, and it doesn't fucking do anything, right? If it did anything, they would have fucking used it by now, but it doesn't matter because you can't fucking cure autism, and people are going to look at this as a cure. And the thing that, and this is the article I'm writing for today. It's the cruelty of it is beyond anything I've ever fucking imagined. Because these parents are going to pump their kids full of this stuff, expecting it to cure the autism. And of course it won't, because you fucking can't, right? Autism cannot be fucking cured. That's not how it works. And when nothing happens because it can't, these parents are going to be fucking devastated. It's going to be more devastating than anything, even the initial fucking when their kid was first diagnosed. It's going to be so much worse than even that. And that's that's a fucking devastating diagnosis. You know, I mean, when Jordan was first diagnosed with autism, that was crushing, and this is going to make that look like, oh boy, what a great day that was, because these parents have been living with it for years, and now it's like, oh, a cure, and then nothing will happen because it can't. And what the thing is going to happen is that, you know, for a lot of parents, autism, kids with autism, you know, the kids who are really deeply impacted, who have a lot of deep, serious behavioral issues and have no support system, because this is America. We don't have support systems for autistic families. They're going to be desperate. And this is going to be like the final straw for them. You know, it's going to be this dangling of hope that doesn't exist. And when nothing happens, what I'm very, very worried about, you know, it's not even worried. I know it's going to fucking happen. There's going to be this sharp increase in family destruction where the parents, or, you know, a lot of them are going to be single moms, because what happens is a lot of fathers say, well, fuck this, bye. And they walk, which is, you know, it's terrible that happens, but it fucking happens way too frequently when it comes to kids with autism. But the mothers are left on their own, and this is going to be this straw they're clutching at. And when nothing happens, it's going to be the last fucking straw for them, and they can't fucking deal with it. And there's just going to be this increase in family destruction where the parent kills their kid and then kills themselves, because they had this hope, this bullshit hope given to them, and then nothing's going to happen. And RFK Jr. just did this, and anyone could have fucking told him, don't do this, because this is going to be the result. You're dangling a false hope, and this is going to be the fucking result. And he doesn't give a shit. He's going to get people killed, and he doesn't care, because he's a fucking death cultist along with the rest of this fucking regime. And it's going to be, we won't know how many people this is going to happen to, because the CDC won't report it. But a year from now, a year and a half from now, we're going to be reading about this in the fucking newspaper.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fucking horrendous and horrific and absolutely fucking predictable. And they don't care.
And we need to hold them accountable too. We need to, when this is through, there's no letting this go. Like,
no looking
there's no
forward.
going back.
No looking forward. No looking forward for the best of the country. It's like, no, they all had to be brought up on fucking charges. Nuremberg them all.
The best thing the country can do is accountability, is hold people finally accountable for what they're doing, or they're never going to stop. And if we finally do that, we can end this. Because the other side of that fear too is something that I heard either this morning or yesterday from, I think it was the Find Out podcast guys, was the opposite end of this is also going to be true, is kids are going to see this, who are the nihilist side, are the groiper side, and they're going to go, oh, I see Elon Musk, who is autistic. I'm going to take a bunch of Tylenol and OD on it, trying to give myself autism so that I can be just like Elon Musk. You can't give yourself autism, because Tylenol doesn't cause autism. You cannot give yourself autism. It's not a disease. It's part of your personhood. You cannot do that. And kids are going to die, and adults are going to die, because they're going to be like, I think we're going to get both sides. Just like you said, though, Ogre, is there's going to be so much destruction and family harm. And I think it's going to come from the nihilist sides, the heaviest of, they're either going to OD on the product to cure themselves or give themselves the cure, because they, and I hope I didn't just ruin your day with that thought too, because I don't know if you were thinking about that at all.
Nope, that
but
had
you're
not
welcome.
occurred to me.
You're welcome. And so we're at the top of the hour. I want to make sure we respect everyone's time and let Ogre go here. Before we go, Ogre, I know I've got your QR code on the screen. Can you let everybody know where they can find you? Shamelessly promote yourself for a moment, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, I am all over Substack. I post on Substack rather steadily, and I love crushing trolls because God, it's so much fun. They come to my page constantly, and I do terrible, terrible things to them. I also have a podcast that's going out in like an hour. I'm finishing editing it. Me and Florida Woman Rants, also on Substack. I am also on Blue Sky, Opinionated Ogre, and on TikTok at Opinionated Ogre. So you may sense a theme there. Something having to do with ogre and being opinionated. So come
You
find
got
me.
some
Ogres crushing trolls.
Ogre's crushing trolls. Ogre's got good opinions, and I love it. Thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on with us. Jacob, thanks for joining and hosting with me. This has been a blast. I hope to have you back again soon. And as I always say, everyone, especially after today, let's stop being sick of this shit and let's start doing this shit. So have a great day, y'all. Be good. Thanks, everyone in the chat, all three of them, and talk again soon.
All right.
Bye.